At Next Step Concealment, we believe that creativity inspires innovation. My name is Gary Kellenberger, and I'm the owner of Next Step Concealment. Over the last few weeks, we've been working with our friends at Recom Actual to develop a brand new holster series. And today, I am pleased to announce that new holster series, the RECOM PCC holster.
Hey, I'm Chase with Recom Actual. I'm a co-owner and the lead crayon designer. Oh man, sorry. How did I come up with this project? So I was washing dishes, watching a YouTube video, and it was actually Polar Tactical's interview of Ian from Forgotten Weapons. And they were talking about that was the Finnish Brutality they just finished running. And they were talking about their favorite guns, and one thing led to another. And basically, Giga said that his favorite gun might be an MP5, and Ian made a comment about how he should run that in a two-gun match as a rifle and a pistol, and you have to shoot it, two-handed, pressed out like a handgun, and then shoot it as a rifle. And Giga said, well, yeah, that would be cool, but I'd only do that if I had a holster for it. And I said, I know a guy who makes holsters, and I want to see Giga do that on camera. And that's really the whole impetus of this entire thing was, I think it would be awesome to make Giga do something hilarious on camera. At the time, though, I didn't know if it was actually possible, but yeah, that's where it came from.
So we created this holster through a couple different steps. The first step was getting the MP5 and actually tracing it out on a whiteboard. So I took a dry erase marker, traced it out, and then I started drawing on that tracing how I wanted to do the blocking, where I wanted to do the cuts in the Kydex for actually forming the holster style and the look overall. And then from there, we started actually getting into making the holster. So I got my tape, I got all of my blocking, put it on the MP5, heated my Kydex, and started out in a foam press. After that, we decided, hey, this is actually something that we could make as a full product and sell to other people other than just giving one to Giga as a joke. And I got into working with a CAD designer to work on an MP5 mold through a CAD program, sent it out to a company to get CNC'd, and here we are vacuum forming our MP5 holsters, and they're working fantastically.
So when we started the project, I had what you could say were misgivings, concerns maybe, because it hadn't been done before. And the weight and size of the gun, putting something that big on your hip, it's not always a great idea if it's not done well. I learned that lesson hard back in the Marine Corps as a saw gunner, and I put 600 rounds on my hip, and that lasted for about 1 mile. And so, going into this, I definitely knew we had some pretty big design considerations to consider. But at the same time, Gary's been awesome with his designs in the past. We loved working with his holster, so I had a high degree of confidence in his design ability and in my ability to be enthusiastic, which is always, I'm told, helpful on projects and not annoying at all when I called him at 3 in the morning. But so a couple misgivings, but I also was really excited about the project, and I thought we could pull it off. I just didn't know how.
There were a lot of complications with the holster making process. One of the biggest complications was dealing with the sheer weight and size of an MP5. I mean, these are not small platforms. I mean, this is kind of the K variant, so it is a relatively small in comparison platform than the traditional larger MP5. But even still, it's a pretty heavy gun, and it's got a good size to it. So that was one of the biggest issues we were having to deal with was, how do you get that size, that weight under control in a holster, especially with Kydex? Kydex is traditionally a fairly malleable material that you can use to make your holsters, but it's not always the best under weight. So we had to figure out, okay, the 080 is what we traditionally use for our handguns. That's not going to be strong enough. We tried 125. That was a really strong, rigid holster, but it was not allowing us to have all of the means that we wanted to, all the pliability that we needed as well still to accommodate for the MP5. So we ended up going with the 093 to kind of get the best of both worlds. We get all the detail of the 080 Kydex and a majority of the rigidity of the 125. So it's really happy median. But that was, I would say, the biggest hurdle that we had to run through was the weight and size.
So we definitely have big plans for the holster. We launched with the MP5, one, because it's an iconic platform, it's a ton of fun to shoot, and there's a decent number of them in the United States, and it's Giga's favorite gun. And so that all kind of made sense. But the future of the project, after we saw how well these actually came together and how well they work, Gary and I immediately started realizing this could be an entire product line. So my hope for the future for this is definitely going to be something that incorporates a wide number of PCCs that people love to run and use for all kinds of stuff.
So this project, the reason that we decided to do this was mostly as a joke to a friend. So I've met Giga a couple of times when I was working at a gun shop locally. They came to visit and kind of do a meet and greet with our shop and our customers. And then I ran into them again in 2018 at SHOT Show at the Rex booth, and I believe also at the Zenith booth. So I've met Giga and Samo and Mansa and gotten to talk to all of them. And when Chase came to me with this idea of, hey, this is something fun that might be really cool. I like playing jokes on people, especially when it's all in good fun and especially when it has to deal with guns in a safe manner, I will say. I was all for it. In addition to that, we say that we're a custom Kydex shop, and I wanted to push the envelope on what it really means to be a custom shop. And this project was our kind of putting our money where our mouth is. We claim to be a custom shop. You can't get more custom than building a holster for an MP5. It's about as custom can get, and we're really excited with how it all worked. And plus, we got to work with some amazing people. I mean, fun group of people to work with. And all around just a great project.
So when I brought the idea to Gary, I honestly didn't have much of an idea of what the finished product would look like. I think I had a little sketch on like a napkin or a Post-it or something that was essentially like a cradle with a crudely drawn MP5 in it. Pretty sure I did it in crayon. So from a design standpoint, I understand certain parts of it, but Gary's expertise in actual real big boy holster design was what was required, because I theoretically understood, like, we need a couple of retention points, the weight's going to be a concern, we have to figure out how to actually make it mount to the belt appropriately so it's functional, but beyond that, I didn't have a strong concept of what it would look like. And I remember, gosh, I don't even know if it was 2 weeks after I brought the idea to Gary, he sent me a photo of like, hey, I just made this up, I think it's going to work, and I was totally blown away. I was like, oh my God, that's a real holster. Wow, we did a thing. And so that was pretty cool. And so, from there, obviously the concept firmed up in my head a lot.
What's next? I would love to tell you what firearms we have kind of in the lineup for the RECOM series holster, but because we're working on some of them already, I can't really tell you what is next in the line, but I will say that we are working on expanding our line to some other PCCs. And looking at what other weapon systems will actually be feasible with this project. We are also going to be releasing a magazine, so our Riser series will be expanding into the PCC world. We've got some magazine carriers that are going to be coming out for the MP5. Also, we were able to get some magazine carriers for the CZ Scorpion and the SIG MPX as well. So expect those to come out relatively soon. They should actually come out right around the same time as this holster. So right now, that's kind of where we are right now. I can't confirm or deny whether or not the mag carriers that we're going to be releasing are a hint as to what is going to be next in the RECOM series. But as someone who has shot the CZ Scorpion, I'm a huge fan of the weapon system. I've got friends that have that gun, and they've asked for mag carriers before. So we're just lending ourselves to what our clients want. We've expanded that, as an area of the shooting industry that is somewhat underserved. So we wanted to be able to serve that part of the industry. It's a gap, and we want to fill it. So that's one of the reasons that we've got all these new PCC magazine carriers coming out.